Shabbat Shalom family. Our selection today is There's No Other Name.
Shabbat Shalom, family. And hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We are on late, but we are on. The name of today's sermon is The Sorrow of Yahweh's Servants. And boy, just to get this started, we've been through some stuff. So hallelujah that we're persevered and kept on. I mean, we've been without light since before 12. But we made up our mind that, hey, at 1:30, one way or another, we broadcasting, even if it's just on the phones. And Yah be praised. At 1:15, power was restored. So it puts a whole new meaning to the sorrow of Yah's servants. Before we get started, my brother, go ahead and read the oracles for me, please.
The church oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter 4, 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer, and above all things have favorite love among yourself, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as with the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians 4, 29, chapter 5 through chapter 5, verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers, and grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one to another, even as Elohim, for Yahshua's sake, has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love as the Mashiach also have loved us, and have given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 1 through 2. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter any thing before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and thou upon earth, therefore let thy words be few. Exodus 23, 20 through 21. Behold, I send an angel before thee, and keep thee in thy way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelation 3, 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcome will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcome, and have sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, as we're getting started, we're getting started a bit late, but hey, like I said, the sorrow of Yah's servants. Everything does not go according to how we plan, but Yahweh's will be done in all things. We're going to start today in Yirmiyah chapter 20. That's Jeremiah chapter 20, and we're going to read verses 1 through 3 to begin. That's Jeremiah 20, verses 1 through 3. And once again, the name of this sermon is The Sorrow of Yah's Servants. Let's take a look at the trials and tribulations of Yahweh's servants. Go ahead, my brother.
Now Peshar, the son of Amir, the priest, who was also chief governor in the house of Yahweh, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. Then Peshar smote Jeremiah the prophet, and put him in the stocks that were in the high gates of Benjamin, which was by the house of Yahweh. And it came to pass on the morrow that Peshar brought forth Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then said Jeremiah unto him, Yahweh hath not called thy name Pashar, but Magar Missabah.
Now, we see here, this man was getting smote for the things he prophesied. Just prophesying, speaking things out of his mouth. This man is getting smacked for that. And then thrown into stocks. Stocks and prison is two different things. If you know stocks, your hands are locked in, your feet are locked in, just for speaking Yah's word, just for prophesying what is yet to come. Like my brother just mumbled, it hasn't even happened yet. So you see how, as a servant of Yah, just the things we say cut somebody deep. They don't know how to deal with it, so the first thing is to lash out. They didn't even sit back and wait to see if these things were going to happen. But just the mere mention was enough for this man to get smacked around and put in stocks. Let's jump to verse 7.
Verse 7. O Yahweh, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and have prevailed. I am in derision, daily. Everyone mocketh me. For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of Yahweh have made a reproach unto me.
Was made
a reproach unto me, and a derision daily. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in mine heart, as a burning fire shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay.
Now, how many of us have reached that point when you're trying to get to family members, friends, and they don't want to hear the word? How many have reached that point where you just discouraged, like, you know what, man, I'm going to stop talking to people about this? But as it's been said before, a lot of times it's not for the person that's right in front of your face. You don't know who's in earshot hearing what you're saying, but they're not letting you know that they heard it. I've got a buddy, he won't tell me when I'm saying certain things, but it might be a year or two later, he's like, yeah, you know, I don't let you know, but I listen to what you say. So you never know who you're actually talking to. We always think about the person right in front of us. Not even just talking, our actions and our deeds, because you never know who's watching. You know, right here in this small congregation, I've had a brother say, man, look, I'm amazed at the way you all deal with stuff, because you got people coming up against you, congregation members who are saying things and you know that it's being said about you, foul things, and you just go on like nothing's happening. He's like, man, I'm not at that point yet, but I'm amazed to know that you know this, but yet you just humble yourself. And I've had to tell him, hey, Yahweh will deal with that in time. I can't take nothing into my hands and get myself into issues, just like we read about Dawid in Bible study. When Abigail came to him, least you cause problems with your own hands. Go ahead.
Verse 10. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Report, they say, and we will report it. All my familiars watch for my halting, saying, peradventure he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him.
Now, listen to this one. All my familiars, that's all the people that's familiar with you. They're watching, they're trying things. They're saying, peradventure he will be enticed. You know, people get in the walk, and it's a lot of times it's the new people. Man, I can't believe my family's coming at me like this. Or I can't believe my friend, or I can't believe the wife of my bosom, or the husband would actually come at me like that. That's the whole point. Peradventure he will be enticed. Peradventure we shall prevail against him and bring him back into the world. So what we're going through is nothing new. We have a guide here, so that when it does come, it's going to hurt. I'm telling you, it hurts. But we get back in the book and kind of laugh about it and say, hey, I'm a servant. Go ahead.
But Yahweh is with me as a mighty terrible one. Therefore, my persecutors shall stumble, and they shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not prosper. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. But, O Yahweh of hosts, that tirest righteous and seest the reins and the heart, let me see thy vengeance on them.
And that's where you want to be at. You don't want to put your hands into the situation, but pray that when Yahweh starts dealing with those people, that you can just sit back and watch. Don't glory in it, but just sit back and watch how Yahweh deals with things. And you're going to say, man, you know what? I'd have never been able to hit him that way. Go ahead.
For unto thee have I opened my cause. Sing unto Yahweh, praise ye Yahweh. For he hath delivered the soul of the poor from the hands of evildoers. Cursed be the day where I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, saying, a man-child is born unto thee, making him very glad. And let that man be as the cities where Yahweh overthrew, and
Which Yahweh overthrew?
which Yahweh overthrew, and repented not. And let him hear the cry in the morning, and the shouting at noontide.
You understand how low you have to be at this point to be wishing that you were never born? But the work must go on. Trials and tribulations are going to come. We're going to feel down and out. You're going to feel like the world is against you. The world should be against you because we're in the world but not of the world. That's where you got to find righteous brothers and sisters that you can lean on. And a lot of times it's people in the same walk with you that's going to bring you to this level. Because these things being done to him is not another nation. So don't be surprised and dismayed when it's one of your own that you've heard said some stuff about you. And you're like, wow, for real? Are you serious? But you take that on your chin and keep moving. Go ahead.
Because he slew me not from the womb, or that my mother might have been my grave, and her womb to be always great with me. Wherefore I came forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame.
The shame that we're dealing with is the shame of what our forefathers did. We're in this situation because of the deeds of our forefathers. But we're no better than them because we took off and ran with it. So some of the sorrows we've got to bear of our own. Let's go to Job chapter 3. Job chapter 3. Job chapter 3 and start that at verse 1, my brother.
Job chapter 3, verse 1. After this, opened Job his mouth, and cursed his day. And Job spake, and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. Let that day be darkness. Let not Elohim regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the numbers of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to rise up that morning.
And here's another servant who is saying, curse the day he was born. I mean, we have to really sit down and meditate and think about what you have to be going through to wish that the day you were born never took place. What have people put you through? And then we reflect on ourselves and realize, hey, you just got to keep going. You just have to keep going. I mean, many of us have not even had to reach this low in our lives. But just please meditate on what these men must be going through to reach this level. To wish the day that they were born never happened. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day, because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from me.
So
from mine eyes.
not only is he wishing that the day that he born never took place, but now he's wishing for all types of things to happen with Yahweh's celestial planets and stars. And dude, why don't you just wish for you to be dead? Now the stars got to be involved and the night got to be involved. This is a low degree. But see, once you reach that low degree, if you allow it, Yahweh can mold you and shape you into something brand new. But you have to allow it. When we read about Job, Job was a man who feared Yahweh and eschewed evil. Job was a prosperous man. But with this trials and tribulations, it also showed him something about the person who was right by his side enjoying this life. Had that never happened, he would probably never seen or heard of those things. So sometimes we can get too much and have too much. And not that we did something wrong when Yahweh start taking some stuff from us, but it's just to get your attention. For you to now reflect on you, because everything you hear coming out of his mouth is about him. His sorrow. Based on what he's going through. Go ahead.
Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why did the knees prevent me, or why the breasts that I should suck? For now, should I have lain still and been quiet, I should have slept, then had I been at rest, with kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as a hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants which never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. There the prisoners rest together, they hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and the great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hidden treasures, which rejoice exceedingly, and are glad when they can find the grave. Why is the light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom Elohim has hedged in? For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roaring are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came.
So this man realizes that with all that he had, with everything that was going on in his life, the peace and the safety he thought he had kind of made him a bit complacent. Now trouble comes, and it's woe is me. Let's go to chapter 10. Job chapter 10.
My soul is weary of my life. I will leave my complaints upon myself. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say unto Elohim, do not condemn me. Show me wherefore thou contendest with me. Is it good unto thee that thou shouldest oppress, that thou shouldest despise the work of thine hands, and shine upon the counsel of the wicked? Hast thou eyes of flesh, or seest thou as man seeth? Are thy days as the days of man, or thy years as man's days? That thou acquirest after mine iniquity, and searchest after my sin. Thou knowest that I am not wicked, and there is none that can deliver out of thine hand.
Now, he's even aware of where he stands. But how many of us can say that when we're going through stuff? You know that I'm not wicked. This man's saying to Yahweh, you know I'm not wicked, but yet I'm going through all this. Help me understand. Why am I going through this? Do we fall on our knees and ask those questions when we're going through things? Why am I going through this? But first, can we put that first statement there? That you know that I'm not wicked. Can we start it out with that? Go ahead.
Thine hands, verse 8. Thine hands have made me and fashioned me together round about, yet thou dost destroy me. Remember, I beseech thee, that thou hast made me as the clay, and wilt thou bring me into dust again? Hast thou not poured me out as milk and curdled me like cheese?
And that's the one thing we have to remember. When I was saying Yahweh brings you to the lowest of low, and if we allow him, he can rebuild us and shape us. It's quite ironic that he's saying, have you not poured me out as milk? Before that, he said, remember, I beseech you, that you have made me as the clay. The irony there is, what was man made from? Exactly. So he can mold you and shape you into whatever he wants to mold you and shape you into. Go ahead.
Thou hast clothed me in skin and flesh, and hath fastened me with bones and sinews. Thou hast granted me life and favor, and thy visitation hath preserved my spirit. And these things hast thou hid in thine heart. I know that this is with thee. If I sin, then thou markest me, and thou wilt not acquit me with mine iniquity.
Acquit me from mine iniquity.
Acquit me from my iniquity, sorry. If I be wicked, woe unto me. And if I be righteous, yet will I not lift up my head. I am full of confusion. Therefore see that mine affliction, for it increaseth. Thou huntest me as a fierce lion, and again thou showest thy marvelous upon me.
Showing thyself marvelous upon me.
Sorry. Thou renewest thy witness against me, and increasest thine indignation upon me. Changes and wars and war are against me. Wherefore then hast thou brought me forth out of the womb? Oh, that I have given up the ghost, and no eyes have seen me. I should have been as though I had not been. I should have been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not my days few? Cease then, and let me alone, that I may take comfort a little. Before I go whence I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death, and a land of darkness, as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death, without any order, and where the light is as darkness.
All right. Let's go to Yonah Chapter 3. And we're going to read Yonah Chapter 3 all the way to verse 4, to chapter 4, pardon me, and verse 3. That's Yonah Chapter 3 to chapter 4 and verse 3. And that's the thing, family. As we're going through things, we just have to hold on and preserve and see what Yahweh has in store for us. If you haven't gotten there yet, it's coming. I can look at the brothers in the room shaking their head and, hey, it's coming. But we got to hold on and keep moving on. The whole purpose of the adversary is to throw stumbling blocks in the way, hoping you'd get off the course. Now, Yahweh's purpose of stumbling blocks is for you to overcome, for you to learn how to come over the obstacles, to build you, to try you. It's been said before, all the trials and tribulations are not meant for you to win, but even in a loss, there's a lot that can be learned if you examine the loss. If you go back and examine and say, okay, why did this happen? Why am I here? Even things going on in your household, examine. We all have to go through stuff. And the more you grow, and the more you walk in righteousness, the slicker those trials and tribulations come. And sometimes the trials and tribulations is right in front of your face for years. But the minute it reveals itself, then you start getting all these pieces of puzzle, boom, 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 boom. And you're like, wait a minute. You mean this has been going on this whole time? Because there's one person puts a piece, and somebody else add another piece, or you remember something, and you say, wait, that goes with that, and this. Wow. You just got to keep going on. Go ahead, my brother.
All right. Yonah Chapter 3, verse 1. The word of Yahweh came unto Yonah the second time, saying, Arise, go unto Nineveh, that great city, and preach unto it the preaching that I bid thee. So Yonah arose and went unto Nineveh, according to the word of Yahweh. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city of 3 days' journey. And Yonah began to enter into the city a day's journey. And he cried and said, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. So the people of Nineveh believed Elohim, and proclaimed a fast, and put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them even to the least of them. For word came unto the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne, and he laid his robe from him, and covered him with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he caused it to be proclaimed and published through Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, Let neither man nor beast, herb nor flock taste anything, let them not feed nor drink water. But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, cry mightily unto Elohim, yea. Let them turn everyone from his evil way, and from the violence that is in their hands. Who can tell if Elohim will turn and repent, and turn away from his fierce anger, that we perish not?
Now, this is Yonah. This is Yonah, and he's on a journey, and he's prophesying to the people of Nineveh, right? But we notice the difference here. Yonah didn't get smacked up and put in stocks, but he's still prophesying. So he didn't have to deal with the torment and the sorrows that Yirmiah dealt with. But let's keep reading.
Which verse? 10.
Verse 10.
All right. And Elohim saw their works, that they turned from their evil ways. And Elohim repented of the evil that he had said he would do unto them, and he did it not. But it displeased Yonah exceedingly, and he was very angry. And he prayed unto Yahweh, and said, I pray thee, O Yahweh, was not this my saying, when I was yet in my country? Therefore I fled before unto Tarshish, for I knew that thou art a gracious Elohim, and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repented thee of the evil. Therefore now, O Yahweh, take, I beseech thee, my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live.
Now, when you look at this situation, like I said, Yonah wasn't smacked up. The word Yirmiah got smacked around and many other prophets. But Yonah is crying about, take my life, because these people's lives were spared because they repented. So Yonah's sorrow is self-inflicting sorrow. Not that anybody smacked them around, put them into stocks, but just the simple fact that these people's lives are going to be saved. Yahweh is showing them mercy because they repented of the deed. This man is now talking about, take my life. Come on, you put that versus what Yirmiyahu went through? What you crying for? Let me put you through the trials and tribulations of some of these other prophets. And then come cry to me about, take my life. So we also have to look at that. Are some of the sorrows and tribulations that we go through, are they self-inflicting? Are we having a pity party because something we've put on ourselves or something we put ourselves through? Yonah's got no reason at this point to be having a pity party. Let's go to Mark chapter 14. We're going to read verses 32 through 42. So when we get to crying about stuff, let's really, really ask ourselves, is this a situation where I should be crying? Or am I just looking for sympathy or attention? Mark chapter 14. And we're going to read verses 32 through 42.
And they came to a place which was named Gethsemane, and he saith to his disciples, Sit ye here while I shall pray. And he taketh with them Cephas, James, and Johanan, and began to be sore amazed, and to be very heavy, and saith unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. Tarry ye here, and watch. And he went forth a little, and fell on the ground, and prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what thou wilt. And he came and findeth them sleeping, and said unto Cephas, Simeon, sleepest thou? Couldst not thou watch 1 hour? Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. And again he went away, and prayed, and spake the same words. And when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Neither was they what to answer him. And he cometh the third time, and said unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest. It is enough, the hour is come. Behold, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise up, let us go. Lo, he that betrayeth me is at hand.
Now, in this situation here, we know what Yahshua has went through. And of course, like he said, the time has come. But we can see at some point, if you're listening to the conversation, he's getting a little agitated with them. Is it warranted? Maybe not. But you know, when you start getting into that antsy situation, everything and everyone around you can become a problem. So he knows his life is about to end. And he's looking at them like, yo, what's up, man? Y'all can't stay up? But then towards the end, you see where he starts saying, hey, man, go ahead and get the rest. There's nothing y'all can do anyway. But we know he's heavy in sorrow. And it's also something that we have to look at. Once you get heavy in sorrow, we all have to kind of put that gauge out of how we're dealing with the people around us. Because sometimes we lash out and you got to ask yourself, is it warranted? But then can you go back and say, you know what? My bad. Like you said, hey man, go ahead and sleep. Let's go to Luke chapter 22. Luke chapter 22, and we're going to read verses 35 through 46.
All right.
Yep, Luke chapter 22, verses 35 through 46.
All right. And he said unto them, when I sent you without a purse and scrip and shoes, lack ye anything? And they said, Nothing. They said he unto them.
Then said he,
Then said he unto them, But now he that hath a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I say unto you, that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Adonai, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, It is enough. And he came out and went as he was wont to the mountain of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and knelt down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow, and said unto them, Why sleep ye? Rise and pray, lest ye enter into temptation.
now, what you have to look at also, it says he was withdrawn. We all get into that mode where you got so much going on that you kind of withdraw from people, or you withdraw from family. So we got to understand that these things are normal. But how far of withdrawing do you go? Because even he needed to be strengthened. He was going through so much that it says his sweat was like blood while he was praying. And then he had to turn around and say to them, Why sleep you? Rise and pray, lest you enter into temptation. When we're going through things, we have to understand that prayer is necessary. But don't wait till you're going through things to pray. Because even here, and we didn't read this in the first one, we basically backed up the same story. But it didn't tell you. It says, and when he arose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping. Why were they sleeping? For sorrow. We've all been in that depressed state that you just want to go to sleep. Just leave me alone. I just want to sleep. So the first part we read, they were sleeping. So it means it looked like they just sleeping because they want to sleep. But then you understand they're in sorrow. Why? Because they know he's about to leave them. So it's heavy on them as well. Let's go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter chapter 2. First Peter chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 9.
All right. Verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praise of him who hath called you out of darkness unto his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of Elohim, which have not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Dearly beloved, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul, having your conversation honest amongst the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify Elohim in the day of visitation.
And that's what I mentioned earlier, that not just the words that you speak are people paying attention to. They're also paying attention to your actions and your deeds. And that is one thing that's going to say a lot about you more than anything else. If you come in seeming unapproachable, more than likely people are not going to approach you. If you leave out of here and you're just a Sabbath day Hebrew, what you do in the other 6 days of the week outweighs what people see one day. Now it's great when your walk becomes so consistent that somebody can look at you and say, hey, man, what you still being home? Ain't you supposed to be at church? Or somebody calls you, you know, I'm sorry to call you, bro. I know it's your Sabbath, but I just had a quick question. Then you understand that you've been walking long enough for people to realize, nah, bro, don't bother that man. And have enough conscience to apologize because they know, hey, man, I know this is your Sabbath. And I know I try my best to refrain. And the funny thing is, the joke for me is, I've got Christian buddies that now they try to put the same emphasis on the first day. I don't care what you do, it's not the Sabbath. But you see how now they're saying, wait a minute, this man don't answer my calls, this man don't deal with me, so let me deal with this day that way. If you start practicing, hey, and once you get to the playing field and start playing, you might be already prepared. But it goes to show that your walk can affect people. And it should affect people. And not just the Gentiles. But like this first statement here in verse 9, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. Are we presenting ourselves as such? Is that what people see reflecting from us as we go from day to day? Or do they see something else? Yeah, we're humans and we go through ups and downs, but in the same token, somebody's always watching you. Go ahead.
Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for Adonai's sake, whether it be the king as supreme, or unto governors as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well.
Now, don't get verse 13 wrong. It says, submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for Yahweh's sake. But if that ordinance goes against what thus says Yahweh, we got a problem. Keep in mind, this is Cephas talking, okay? When it comes against Yahweh's laws and his ordinances and his statutes, hey, this is where we draw the line. And we can see it's coming more and more. I mean, who would think, as much as we keep hearing about, you got to take this vaccine, you got to take this vaccine, you got to take this vaccine, right? We're all shaking in our boots, wondering what we're going to deal with. Florida is the first state to say, hey, you can't force nobody to have to take this shot. Texas is trying to follow right behind. So here it is, as we're warned about the ordinances of man, Yahweh's got them same people doing stuff that's going to help us out. Because we know we're not in any position to change any of their laws. We can just try our best to walk in Yahweh's law, statutes, and judgments. But even them people are saying no. This ain't right. The question was asked, I heard this question asked, well, how is it that, like the stores can be able to stop you from coming in without a mask or this and that? Because a lot of them are implementing that. That's private property. It's just like your house. You can tell somebody, hey, you got the vaccine, don't come to my house. That's private property. At this point, I guess, hey, Hebrews going to have to learn to stop shopping at certain places if it comes down to that. But Yahweh's always going to look out for us. But are we doing what's necessary to show forth the light of He who's within us, so they understand who we are? Go ahead.
Verse 15. For so is the will of Elohim, that with well doing, ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servant of Elohim. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear Elohim, honor the king. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the forward. For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience towards Elohim endures grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if, when you be buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently? But if, when you do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with Elohim.
Now, to all y'all servants, to all my brothers and sisters who are in this walk and trying to walk honest, truthful, and righteous, please take this one to heart and hold on to it. For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience sakes toward Elohim endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it if when you be buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently? That's when you do wrong, you take it and deal with it. But if when you do well and suffer for it, you take it patiently. And that's what I was talking about earlier. When a brother said, man, I see you understand that this person said this about you. And that. It's all good, man. That's in Yahweh's hand. Taking it patiently. Patiently watching to see how Yahweh's going to deal with it. Go ahead.
For even hereunto where you call, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that ye should follow his steps, who did not sin, neither was guile found in his mouth, who, when he was revealed not again. When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously.
And there it is. Put all things in Yahweh's hand. Let's go to Matthew chapter 26. And we read where he asked several times, take this cup from me, but not my will, your will. Matthew chapter 26, and we're going to read verses 65 through 75. I said just the start of this class was our own trials and tribulations. Most people walked into here in darkness. We didn't know when the lights were going to come back on. But, hey, it's already determined. 1:30, one way or another, even if we just broadcasting over the phone. This is going to happen. Yours will be done. But you have to put forth that step to show Yahweh that you're a willing servant to make that first move, to make that commitment. And then Yahweh will help you out. Go ahead.
All right. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, he hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy.
Matthew, where you at?
Verse 65.
Matthew 26?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. 66 now.
Go ahead.
What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of death. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands.
Now, most of us in this room, brothers and sisters alike, this would have been a fight. I remember I showed some of y'all the man on the bus driver, when the girl spit on him, and what he said, oh, you going to hell now? And she caught the uppercut. So how many of us can take the spit in the face and take it patiently? Yeah, I see you blowing out steam over there. I see you letting it out. But as servants, we got to understand the patience of a servant while still understanding the sorrows that a servant deals with. Go ahead.
68, verse 68, saying, prophesy unto us, thou Christ, who is he that smote thee? Now Cephas sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, thou also was with Yeshua of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what thou sayest. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him, and said unto them that were there, This fellow was also with Yeshua of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Cephas, Surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech betrayeth thee. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. And Cephas remembered the words of Yeshua, which said unto him, Before the cock crew, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly.
Now, we always look at this part, and we always focus on the fact of the cock crowing 3 times and him weeping bitterly. But as his brother, as his disciple, as his friend, do you not think he was sorrowful even before this? As he's seeing what he's going through? The sorrow didn't just come at the point of when the cock crowed 3 times. The sorrow was there from the get-go of when they took this man. Remember, he was one of the few that went along to see what was going to happen. So sorrow is not just from what you go through. You should have some sorrow for what your brothers and sisters are going through. Let's go to Mark chapter 14. A lot of times if you put yourself in your brother's shoe and look at where they're coming from or what they might be going through, even just consider a lot of stuff that people say out of their mouths they wouldn't say. And the brother or sister that it's said to, it should tear you up in your heart if you really know that person. Mark chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 64 through 72.
Ye have heard the blasphemy. What think ye? And they all condemned him to be guilty of death. And some began to spit on him, and to cover his face, and to buffet him, and to say unto him, Prophesy. And the servants did strike him with the palms of their hands. And as Cephas was beneath in the palace, there cometh one of the maids of the high priest. And when she saw Cephas warming himself, she looked upon him and said, And thou also was with Yeshua of Nazareth. But he denied, saying, I know not, neither understand I what thou sayest. And he went out into the porch, and the cock crew. And a maid saw him again, and began to say to them that stood by, This is one of them. And he denied it again. And a little after, they that stood by said again, Cephas, surely thou art one of them, for thou art of Galilean, and thy speech agreeth thereto. But he began to curse and to swear, saying, I know not this man of whom ye speak.
So his anger was already building. Go ahead.
And the second time the cock crowed. And Cephas called to mind the word that Yeshua said unto him, Before the cock crowed twice, thou shalt deny me thrice. And when he thought thereon, he wept.
So you went from being angry to a complete heartbreak. Let's go to Luke chapter 23. And to be honest with you, some of the stuff that I hear that people have said and some of the stuff that I see that people do who say they've come into the truth, it truly is heartbreaking. It truly is sorrowful. So just know that when you're going through it, you're not alone. Luke chapter 23, and start at verse 34, please.
Then said Yeshua, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. And the people stood beholding, the rulers also with them, deride him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he be Christ, the chosen of Elohim. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar, and saying, If thou be the king of the Jews, save thyself. And a superscription also was written over him in letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. This is the King of the Jews.
Understand the patience that you have to have. Understand the reserve that you have to be able to be in this position, like it said of him. He saved others. Save yourself. How great it is to have the power to be able to go knock somebody down, but just hold your peace. Go ahead.
And one of the malefactors were hanged, riled
Which
on,
were hanged.
Which were hanged, riled on
Railed
him.
on him.
Railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us.
Now, just look at that. We know what means when somebody says, yo, man, he railed on you. There you go, you hanging with me. You on the torture stake with me and you railing on me? Dude, what is wrong with you? It's not like they're going to let you down because you railing on me. They're going, oh, all right, man, that's a good dude. Take him off. Bro, you're about to die with me. Where's your humbleness? You're in the same boat as me. And that's what a lot of us don't sit and look at. We're all in the same boat, hoping that we're of the chosen to make it in the kingdom. So while you sitting here railing on me, hey man, please, please, please take a look at yourself in your position. Go ahead, my brother.
Actually, they're not in the same boat. He just don't know that. They hanging
You mean the end results ain't gonna be the same?
right.
Okay.
The end result ain't the same, so he relling on him. But the end result ain't the same. He going somewhere that now it's a possibility that you ain't going.
Right. That's a good point.
Examine yourself.
Exactly.
Not how things look on the outside.
Right. Yep.
You should be focused more on, at that point, he should have been focused more on why he hanging there with you, why they all hanging there.
Exactly. So everybody who comes through the door,
for the same reason.
right. So everybody who comes through the door supposedly looking for salvation and the truth, but then you get on the journey long enough, you be like, for what? For real? They doing what? Oh, man. Go ahead, my brother.
But the other answering rebuked him, saying, Dost not thou fear Elohim, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? And
So somebody has some sense, right? Go ahead.
And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this man hath done nothing amiss.
So he took it patiently. One of them had enough sense to say, yo, we up here for a reason. It's justified while we're up here. It's justified while we're going through what we're going through. But this man has not done anything. But he's taking it patiently. Go ahead. And how many people can do that? To stand in the spot and say, hey man, why are you saying that about that brother, man? You got proof about that? Why are you saying that about this sister? You have proof? Go ahead.
And he said unto Yahshua, Adonai, remember me when thou comest into the kingdom.
And there's the whole kit and caboodle of it. Remember me. So I'm going to go ahead and take mine patiently, and hopefully Yahshua will remember me. And I can make it in the kingdom. Because you ain't taking a check on the fact that you're going to be where you at because of your own deeds. So please know that when you end up where you end up, like the man said, it's justified for us to be here. So when you reach there, just know you justified why you're there. We should be putting in works to better ourselves. But I'm telling you, I'm amazed every time I see people come through the door and you get the hope of that they're here for salvation. But when you see them drop off or they start off in foolishness, it hurts. that's Israel. That's people. Everybody didn't come through the door for the same reasons. Some people hang around long enough. It's amazing. I've seen people hang around long enough, and I don't realize it. They're actually hanging around just to study priest Esaac. And then next 3-4 months, you see them on YouTube putting out their own stuff. You can never be that man. Be you. Do you. What's the sense of coming to... The time you wasted coming here to study him, you could have studied your book. Why you... Whatever charisma he has, and you can't. That's not you. That's not me. I do me. I hear people say, man, when you behind it, you seem like you just chastising us. You just got the whip out. I can only be me. I can't be him. And I'm not going to be him. Exactly. If I'm him, what's the sense of me being here? Why do we need 2 socks? So I'm B-sock? He A-sock? I'm Kish. There was one Yahshua. He cut deep. They tried to sell us another Yahshua, this loving, hugging guy. But when you read the book, that's not him. Priest Esaac, I see him sit behind here and he breaks some stuff down. I'm like, wow. Man, how'd you come to that conclusion? But Yahweh deals with his servants. I pray when I get up here, I get behind, hey, Yahweh use me as a vessel. Speak through me. There's things that I see and I go, wow, and I bring it, he say, man, never seen it that way. But that's the whole thing, each one of us. If we allow ourselves to be servants, make it through the sorrow, you can come and sit down and say, hey, man, look at this scripture right here. And we all build from that. But on the same token, I see people come through and have no humbleness. They come through the door and they, well, what about, you need to be talking about this and you need to be talking. Bro, if that's what's given to you, then you go do you. You had something?
Like you said, this word is supposed to humble us and we let Yahweh deal with the works, because I was once accused of doing something even before my baptism, and I was told something that angered me, and I got lashed at it. I was like, wow. And I say, no, let me just sit here and just waiting patiently, and was once told even, oh, I thought he was cool. But if I stepped out of that and did what I wanted to do, because now that man is back in the position to be around me and show much love, because I didn't come out of order and blaspheme Yahweh's name. Now he's like, Isaiah, I love you. Like that, coming home every single day and showing that love. And I didn't even step out of that and let Yahweh deal with it. And now we're at peace.
And imagine if you went the other way, the turmoil you'd be coming home to every day. You know, so, hey, Yahweh be praised. And for a young brother, hey, man, it's hard to learn patience as a young cat when you just want to throw these hands. You know, so, hey, praise Yah for that. Go ahead, my brother.
Oh, we're on Genesis 37, right?
That was it for that?
Yeah,
all right, Genesis chapter 37. You know, we all have trials and tribulations, and like the young brother just said, you know, when you can sit back and look at how you dealt with a situation while you were going through it, and then see the great outcome, oh man, there's nothing better than making it through the sorrow. Because I'm sure during the time when the stuff was going, it was hard, it's sorrowful. But like the brother said, he took it patiently. But the outward reward is so great. And who's to say that this person wasn't watching, hoping that he would retaliate or show some aggression? But now this man saw this man's demeanor and who he is, and it's, you can't have nothing but love, or you stay away from Yahweh's servant. Go ahead.
Genesis 37. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peacefully unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it to his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars had made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth?
Now, here it is. Joseph is probably feeling good about himself as he's saying these things. But he's getting cut. He's getting cut as he delivers this stuff. So here it is. Sometimes you feel good to go tell somebody something. Prepare your heart for the heartbreak as well. It may not be received the way you've got it in your head because you think it's a good thing. So it might not be received the same way. Don't allow that to cause you to give up, though. Like I said, making it through the sorrow. The joy comes at the end. My brother, go ahead and jump to... Let's jump to verse 31.
And they took Joseph's coat, and killed a kid of the goat, and dipped the coat in blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or not. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without a doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son's mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard.
Let's go to Genesis 43. So we see Jacob weeping for Joseph bitterly. He still got other sons, but this man is at this point, the sorrow is so much that he don't want to eat, he don't want to hear nothing from nobody. For him, life is over. But you still got to go on for the family. You still got to persevere to the end. Genesis chapter 43, and we're going to read verses 16 through 31.
All right. Verse 16. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, Bring these men home, and slay, and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid, because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, because the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen and our asses. And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house.
So at this point, they're confused. They don't know what's going on. They're trying to figure out, why are we here? But look at the trials and tribulations of Joseph. Going from bragging about these dreams that he had, being cut by his dad, being sold by his own brothers, thrown into prison, accused of raping a woman, forgotten by other people that he helped out and told them, hey, one of y'all gonna die and you're gonna be restored. Don't forget me. But he was forgotten and left in prison. This man was continuously forsaken. But he stood strong through all the sorrows and kept going. I mean, after the situation with your brothers, that would have been enough for some people to say, you know what, I ain't telling nobody another dream. Dream is done. I keep this to myself. But he kept going. As servants, we got to understand to just keep going. Go ahead.
And said, O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. And it came to pass, when we came to the inn, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack. Our money is in full weight, and we have brought it again in our hands.
Now, you got to understand, they trying so hard to figure out what's going on. They confessing things ain't nobody asking them about. Let's just put it all. Nobody ain't ask you about that. Why don't you just sit back, relax, and wait to see what's going to happen? Making all kinds of confession. Why don't you confess about what you did to your brother? They held fast on that, though, didn't they? Go ahead.
And the other money we have brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. And he said, Peace be to you. Fear not. Your Elohim and the Elohim of your father hath given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. And he brought Simeon out unto them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their asses provender. And they made ready to present against Joseph came at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well? The old man whom ye speak, is he yet alive? And they answered, Thy servant our father is in good health, he is yet alive. And they bowed down their head, and made obeisance. And he lifted up their eyes, and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother, of whom ye spake unto me? And he said, Elohim be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother, and he sought where to weep. And he entered into his chamber and wept there.
Now, once again, this is a situation where I say, put yourself in this place where you're looking at your brothers. They don't know it's you and all that they've done onto you. And you're holding all of this inside and trying to keep your composure. You got to understand the emotions building up to the point where it says he looked for somewhere to cry, basically. Because this stuff is building in you. Especially his little brother of the same mother. He's feeling it. The sorrow inside. But he's still holding fast and patiently dealing with this. Go ahead.
And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, Set on bread. Did you want me to go further than that?
No. Let's go to chapter 45. And read verses 1 through 8, please. In the last verse it says, and they set, and it says, verse 31, and he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, set on bread. So right now he's still holding fast. He's still dealing with this situation. Go ahead.
All right. Chapter 45.
Yes.
Then Yosef could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Yosef made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud. And the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Yosef said unto his brethren, I am Yosef. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
Now, we go back to verse 43, and he was able to refrain himself. Now we're in verse 45, and he can no longer refrain himself. It says that he cried so loud that the Egyptians and Pharaoh heard him. This ain't no townhouse. This man is crying so loud with all that's built up inside of him that these people are hearing this man cry. That's some hard, deep felt sorrow that you've been holding on to. Go ahead.
And Yosef said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Yosef, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore, be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that you sold me hither. For Elohim did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And Elohim set me before you to preserve you and prosperity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but Elohim, and he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Adonai of the land, of all his house, and the ruler throughout all his land of Egypt.
So, at the end of the day, I'm with Yosef. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourself, that you sold me hither, for Elohim did send me before you to preserve life. To my brothers and sisters in the war, those of righteousness, I thank you for keeping me humble and keeping me on my path. And for my brothers and sisters who have unrighteously come here and showed your behinds, I thank you. Because it's not of you. It's of Elohim. It's of Elohim. The unrighteous servants allow me to grow and allow me to have more love for my righteous brothers and sisters. And allow me to be able to understand how to deal with true family. It's a precious gift to have true family. Some of y'all I don't see all the time, but I hear from you. It's growth. So I thank everyone. Everything that's happening, it's not of us. It's of Elohim. Y'all come to me with questions. Hey, it allows me to know, hey man, I got to be prepared. But I'm not afraid to say I don't know. I'll find out for you. I don't have all the answers. But by asking me, you allow me to grow. And those that betray me, you allow me to grow. Let's go to Exodus chapter 1. So when it comes your way, deal with it patiently. It's growth. And you will find that A lot of the ones that's going to hurt you the most is the ones that you put out the most for. I'm sorry, sir. Better me hit you in the chest with love than somebody hit you in the chest with hatred. That one's going to kill you. Go ahead, my brother.
All right. We're starting at
verse 8, and we're
verse
going to
8.
read through chapter 2 and verse 14.
All right. Verse 8. Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it came to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters, to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and
Pithom and
Ramses.
Now there arose up a new king over Egypt who knew not Joseph. Joseph preserved the lives of the Egyptians. The children of Israel came into Egypt and helped to build Egypt. So even here when it says it set taskmasters over them, they were already doing the work. But now they're appointing somebody over them to make their lives even harder. We've got to realize that as servants. This is just what I was just saying. You help out, and the people you help the most are the ones that's going to afflict you the most. Go ahead.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
Now, look at this affliction and this growth and multiplication. They're talking about the seed of Israel, right? But we take it to ourselves and say, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. Our growing needs to be in spirituality and righteousness. So let that be the key. The more they afflict us, let's grow in righteousness. Let's let our salvation, the walk, multiply. Go ahead.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the other one Puah. He said, When you do the office of a midwife of the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stool, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared Elohim, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the man-child alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, Why have you done this thing, and have saved the man-child alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore Elohim dwelt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared Elohim, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all the people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to a wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived, and bore a son. And when she saw him, that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrush, and dabbed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off, to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it.
So Yahweh put compassion even in the heart of the heathen to to save his servant. Go ahead.
And when she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children.
So she knew who the child belonged to, but still went against the decree of her father. Go ahead.
Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child, and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son, and she called him Moshe, as she said, Because I drew him out of the water. And it came to pass in those days, when Moshe was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian, and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did that wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killed the Egyptian? And Moshe feared and said, Surely this thing is known.
Now, so Moshe grew up with the knowledge that he was not of them, even though he lived in luxury, right? One of the first things we got to look at, we don't consider all of the Hebrew male children around his age were killed off. So the only boys that he had to play with his age group would have been Egyptians. There's no Hebrew male children in his age group. So all influences as little boys playing came from the Egyptians. This is the thought process that he grew up with. Not only just being in Pharaoh's house, but children playing. Influences come from other kids. All Egyptian influence. We got to think about that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. And not only that, his first encounter, trying to help out Hebrew brothers. What you get? You intend to kill me like you killed him? That opens the door for some of Moshe's thought processes later on in life. Exodus chapter 4, and read verse 1 for me, please.
And Moshe answered and said, But, behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, Yahweh hath not appeared unto thee.
Why would they believe that Yahweh appeared unto him? He lived in Pharaoh's house. He grew up in Pharaoh's house. But at this point, Moshe's already making excuses, because he know what happened when he dealt with him. You want me to go help them people? At this point, he's in exile. Why? Because of them people. Hey, man, I'm trying to make up every excuse not to go back myself. Let's jump to verse 10.
All right. Verse 10. And Moshe said unto Yahweh, my Adonai, I am not eloquent,
More excuses.
neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant. I am slow of speech, and of a slow tongue.
Right, because I know who I'm going back to deal with. I don't want to do this. I'm in exile because of these people. The excuses are pouring out. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I, Yahweh?
Now, you get the point that Yahweh's getting a bit ticked off with them excuses? basically wanted to, man, just do your job. Do what I'm telling you to do. But Moshe is a bit apprehensive because he knows the people he's dealing with. But we can't get that way. And that's why I'm going through this, is that we got to understand this is our people. But if you're a servant, you got a job to do. Do your job, take it patiently, and we just keep moving on. Go ahead.
Now, therefore, go, I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. And he said, O my Adonai, send I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. Do you want me to keep going?
Verse 14.
And the anger of Yahweh had kindled against Moshe.
Was kindled
against Moshe. And he said, Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well, and also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart.
Okay, my brother. Let's go to Numbers chapter 20. But with every excuse that Moshe tried to make, Yahweh had an answer for him. You're not going to get out of this job. You're going to do this job. Numbers chapter 20, and read verses 9 through 12, please.
And Moshe took the rod from before Yahweh, as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moshe lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly. And the congregation drank, and their beasts also. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron, Because ye believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. This is the water of the Meribah, which the children of Israel strove with Yahweh, and he was sanctified in them. And Moshe sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, Thou knowest all the
That was it, my brother.
Oh, that was
verse 12.
Oh, yeah.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron, Because you believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. From the get-go, it was told to him that you're going to bring these people in. But remember, his first encounter was them coming against him, and that never stopped. To the point that he smote the rock when he was supposed to speak to the rock. So it was one of them things, is no matter what he tried, he just never really fit in. Because like I said, remember, there's no male children in his age group of the Hebrews. So you caught in between the older ones and the younger ones, whatever that age group might have been when they stopped killing. He's just caught in the middle. This man is dealing on a journey, even with Aaron. He didn't grow up with Aaron. But this task has been placed upon him. Now imagine you go through all this to be told that, hey man, you ain't going to bring the congregation into the land. He could have did a Yonah. Man, see man, that's why I tried. See man, I knew that, man, bruh. What you say, kill me? Take me out. Hey, let's go to Deuteronomy Chapter 3. But as a servant, you're going to do what Yahweh has for you to do, no matter what you try, what you feel, think, or believe. Deuteronomy Chapter 3, and let's read verses 24 through 28 as we continue with Moshe and his sorrows.
O Adonai Elohim, thou hast begun to show thy servant thy greatness and thy mighty hand. For what Elohim is there in heaven and in earth that can do according to thy works and according to thy might? I pray thee, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan, that goodly mountain in Lebanon. But Yahweh was wroth with me for your sakes, and would not hear me. And Yahweh said unto me, let it suffice thee, speak no more unto me of this matter. Get thee up into the top of Pisgah, and lift up thine eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and behold it with thine eyes, for thou shalt not go over this Jordan. But charge Joshua, and encourage him, and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which thou shalt see.
Now, he's begging, he's pleading, he's explaining that I've talked to Yahweh, I've asked, can I go into the land? He said, no, you're not going. Let it suffice you just to go see it. Consider how you would feel. Let it suffice you enough to just to go see. But while you're at it, go ahead and train him. He's going to take him in. You're not going to go. What? For real? You got to think about how many times we talk about our people on a job. What happens? We train our replacement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think about how happy. 9 times out of 10, they don't tell you that's what you're doing. But Yahweh tell him what he's going to do. No, you training your replacement. How much heavier does that weigh on you, and how well would you train that person if you know the company said, nah, that dude right there going to take your job, I need you to go ahead and train him. It takes a different type of heart and drive to train your replacement while you're still alive. You know, if I'm dying and okay, I need to train you to take the job over, but I'm still in good health and condition. Hey, that's a hard one. Let's go to Deuteronomy Chapter 31. Deuteronomy Chapter 31, and let's read verse 1 through 14.
And Moshe went and spake these words unto all of Israel. And he said unto them, I am 120 years old this day. I can no more go out and come in. Also Yahweh hath said unto me, Thou shalt not go over this Jordan. Yahweh thy Elohim, he will go over before thee, and he will destroy these nations from before thee, and thou shalt possess them. And Yeshua, he shall go over before thee, as Yahweh hath said. And Yahweh shall do unto them as he did to Sihon and to Og, kings of the Amorites, and unto the land of them whom he destroyed.
Now, does anybody catch the point that this kind of still bugs Moshe? He's still mentioning it. He said, I'm 120 years old. I can no more go in and out and come in. Also, Yahweh has said unto me, you shall not go over this Jordan. He keeps bringing it up. So he feels some kind of way about this situation. But he's still doing what he has to do. He's still encouraging Joshua. He's still dealing with Israel, the people who caused them to lose the opportunity to go into the land. He could have been bitter about this. Man, forget these people, I'm out. But he's still doing what he's got to do, even with a sorrowful heart. Go ahead.
And Yahweh shall give them up before your face, that ye may do unto them according unto all the commandments which I have commanded you. Be strong and of good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them. For Yahweh thy Elohim, he it is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. And Moshe called unto Yeshua, and said unto him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and of good courage, for thou must go with this people unto the land which Yahweh hath sworn unto their fathers to give them, and thou shalt cause them to inherit it. And Yahweh, he it is that doeth go before thee. He will be with thee. He will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed. And Moshe wrote this law and delivered it unto the priests of the sons of Levi, which bear the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, and unto all the elders of Israel. And Moshe commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, in the similitude of years of the year of release, in the feast of tabernacle, when all Israel is come to appear before Yahweh thy Elohim in the place which he shall choose, thou shalt read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people together, men and women and children, and thy stranger that is within thy gates, that they may hear and that they may learn and fear Yahweh your Elohim, and observe to do all the words of this law, and that their children which have not known anything may hear and learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim, as long as ye live in the land, whither you go over the Jordan to possess it. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, behold, thy days approach that thou must die. Call Yahshua and present yourselves in the tabernacle of the congregation, that I may give him a charge. And Moshe and Yahshua went and presented themselves in the tabernacle of the congregation.
So there it goes. Yahweh comes to this man and tells him, you must die, but call Yahshua first. So through all this, Moshe is still going on with what he needs to do and is not taking his hand off the plow. Let's go to Psalms chapter 6.
All right. Psalms chapter 6.
Yes, sir.
O Yahweh, rebuke me not in thine anger, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. Have mercy upon me, O Yahweh, for I am weak. O Yahweh, heal me, for my bones are vexed. My soul is also sore vexed. But thou, O Yahweh, how long? Return, O Yahweh, deliver my soul. O save me for thy mercy's sake. For in death there is no remembrance of thee. In the grave who shall give thee thanks? I am weary with my groaning. All the night make it my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears. Mine eyes is consumed because of grief. It waxeth old because of all mine enemies. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity, for Yahweh hath heard the voice of my weeping, and Yahweh have heard my supplication. Yahweh will receive my prayer. Let all my enemies be ashamed and sore vexed. Let them return and be ashamed suddenly.
Hallelujah. To people in the media room, we're jumping to 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel chapter 6. And we're going to read verses 14 through 23. Second Samuel chapter 6.
What page is that for you? What page is that for you?
2 Samuel.
Jeez, I'm late.
2 Samuel. Page 361.
And Dawid danced before Yahweh with all his might. and Dawid was girded with a linen ephod. So Dawid and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of Yahweh with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. And as the ark of Yahweh came into the city of Dawid, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through the window and saw King Dawid leaping and dancing before Yahweh. And she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of Yahweh and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that Dawid had pitched for it. And Dawid offered burnt offering and peace offering before Yahweh. And as soon as Dawid had made an end of offering burnt offering and peace offering, he blessed the people in the name of Yahweh of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one a cake of bread and good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, every one to his house. Then Dawid returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet Dawid and said, "How glorious was the king of Israel that today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself." And Dawid said unto Michal, "I was before Yahweh, which chose me before thy father and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of Yahweh, over Israel. Therefore will I play before Yahweh. And I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be base in mine own sight, and of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor." And therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no children until the day of her death.
So this was supposed to be a glorious occasion. You got to understand, the first time that we tried to do this, it caused a man to die. So now it's being done the right way. This man is happy. This man is glorying, because the first occasion was sorrowful. But even in your joy comes a buzzkill. But what he said, this is for Yahweh. Don't matter what you think, feel, or believe. This is for my Elohim. And as long as it's for my Elohim, do what you got to do. Say what you want to say. I'll take the cut. I'll take the buzzkill. I'll take the hurt and the pain and the sorrow. But can you deal with when he's ready to deal with you? How many kids did Dawid have? I'm like 23? What? I would have rather dealt with that sorrow and that cut than what she dealt with. Because she had to see all these other women have children. And she had none. So do what you got to do and say what you got to say. But it's for my Elohim. And when he deals with you, you're going to know that you've been dealt with. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 16. Second Samuel chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 5 through 13.
When King Dawid came to Baram, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was the son of Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came, and he cast stones at Dawid and at all the servants of King Dawid, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right and on his left. And thus said Shimei, when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial, and Yahweh hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned. And Yahweh hath delivered the kingdom into the hands of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in the mischief, because thou art a bloody man.
Now, understand this whole situation here. You coming, you throwing rocks at the servant, you cussing the servant, and then you going to throw it up in his face. That's why your son in power now. Because at this point, he's running from his own son. But you bringing it way back to Saul. Something that had nothing to do with me. That was all in Yahweh's hand. It's already a sorrowful situation that I'm running from my own son so I don't have to kill him. But now you got somebody throwing rocks at you. Literally and physically throwing rocks. Go ahead.
Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, Why should this dead dog curse my Adonai the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. And the king said, What have I to do with you, you son of Zeruiah? Zariah. All right. So let him curse, because Yahweh hath said unto him, Curse thou weed. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so?
So even in situations when people are coming up against you and people have stuff to say about you, whether positive or negative, especially in the negative, let them talk. Who knows if Yahweh has given it to them to say what they say? Don't retaliate. Don't take matters into your own hand. Go ahead, my brother, read.
And thou wait. Let me see. I think I might have skipped much more.
Verse 11.
All right. And David said unto Abishai,
Go ahead.
and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which come forth of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for Yahweh hath bidden him. It may be that Yahweh will look on mine affliction, and that Yahweh will requite me good for his cursing this day.
So your cursing can turn out to be a blessing for me. I'm taking it patiently. And Yahweh looks at the fact that you've taken that affliction patiently and counts it on to you for good. Go ahead.
And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hill's side over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary, and refreshed themselves there.
All right, my brother. Let's go to Psalms 28. Psalms chapter 28.
Unto thee I will cry, O Yahweh, my rock. Be not silent to me, lest if thou be silent to me, I become like them that go down into the pit. Hear the voice of my supplication when I cry unto thee. When I lift up my hands towards thy holy oracle, draw me not away with the wicked, and with the works of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. Give them according to their deeds, and according to the wickedness of their endeavors. Give them after the work of their hands. Render to them their desert, because they regard not the works of Yahweh, nor the operation of his hands. He shall destroy them and not build them up. Blessed be Yahweh, because he hath heard the voice of my supplication. Yahweh is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am helped. Therefore my heart greatly rejoice, and with my song will I praise him. Yahweh is their strength, and he is saving strength in his
Of his anointed.
and save thy people and bless thine inheritance. Feed them also and lift them up forever.
Hallelujah. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 4. This is the last one we're going to do for today. Proverbs chapter 4.
Ooh.
You happy to finish reading there, my brother? It's okay. It's okay.
Kinda dying up here.
Hey, understand what it means to put on another man's shoes, okay?
Yeah, I know the class is about me. I get it.
You said the class is about you?
Yeah.
It's all right, man. You suffered through it. You suffered through it. It's okay. Hallelujah. Proverbs chapter 4, started at verse 1.
All right. Hear, your children, the instruction of father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender, only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also, and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words. Keep my commandments and live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace. A crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many.
Now, you got to think about the first thing he says, for I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also and said unto me, let your heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live. When you look at it, that can go two ways. Because this is coming from slow-mo, right? But he said, my father taught me. So that would be Dawid. So there's things that he learned from King Dawid. But then when he turns around and says, keep my commandments, Dawid didn't create no commandments. So you see how these twofold on there. Commandments are of Yah. Keep Yah's commandments and live. And then when it's telling him what he should get, it says, get wisdom and get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not. So now, it's referring to wisdom as her. We went through Bible study and it was talking about how a man should love his wife. So do we look at wisdom as her and hold on to it as a wife as well and cherish it and nourish it? The men of Israel, though we're men, Yahweh is married unto us. So we're the wives. And then we have wives. But how do you look at this word? How do you look at wisdom? Wisdom is a wonderful attire if it's wear well. If you wear wisdom well, it can make you look beautiful. Shlomo looked beautiful. The Queen of Sheba came from far because she heard of his wisdom. But let's not wear wisdom for vanity's sake. Do you have something there, my brother?
Yes, and then just like he gave us a wife, now he's already telling us how he feels, because how we feel about her.
Oh, yeah. But do we understand how Yahweh feels about us? Do we take into consideration even his sorrow? Because he's been dealing with a treacherous wife for a long time. So let's not even just look at the sorrow of Yahweh's servants, because the sorrow of Yahweh's servants was for us to understand where he stands, what we've put him through, what he's dealt with. Go ahead.
I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, and when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it. Turn from it, and pass away. For thy sleep not, except thy have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they come. They cause some to fall.
Now, I read this and I had to go over this again, right? It says, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Verse 16, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief. So while you sleeping, they're plotting and planning, because they can't sleep. They can't sleep till they have done some mischief. And mischief just come about just the mere fact of just trying to defame your brother or your sister. But until they have done some wrong, they just can't sleep. Go ahead.
For they eat the bread of the wickedness, and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is of the shining light, that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. The way of the wicked is as darkness, they know not at what they stumble. My son, attend to my words. Incline thine ears unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of thine heart. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thine heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a forward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee.
So put away from you a forward mouth. Think about what you're saying before you say it. And perverse lips put far from you. What you may feel or think about people may not be the right thing. Be patient. Sit back and watch and wait before you utter something that, like it said previously, cause somebody else to stumble or somebody else to fall just because you feel some kind of way. Go ahead.
Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil.
Sometimes you have to be like a horse and put on blinders. And the only thing in your head is road to salvation, road to salvation, road to salvation. And you look left and I'm a track and field type person. And I hate to see them runners that do this. Anybody who run and do this, know eventually the fall is coming. Even when I'm watching movies and people are running and doing this, hey man, you're going to have to touch me because I'm here. Until you touch me, no, I'm not going to keep looking back because that's the possibility of stumbling and falling. Exactly. Keep your eye on the prize. And just understand that the sorrows that you go through today, hey, it'll be something you laugh about tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But endure it patiently. We all have to go through this. And like I said earlier, the sad thing is, 9 times out of 10, it's going to come from someone that's close to us. But you grow. And you learn. If you stay on the path, if that's what you desire. Because some people allow those things to make them make a hard left or a hard right. And then you realize that maybe their heart wasn't opened up completely for the walk anyway. we talk about a walk, but it's physical and mental and spiritual. But physical drain, or mental drain actually, is worse than physical. Because mental drain leads to physical drain. But what are you going to allow to drain you? We see where these brothers got to the point that they just kill me. I wish the day I was born never happened. Pull from that strength and understand you're not alone. That's it for today. And for everyone that's listening, everybody that's in earshot, please remember that tonight is Pentecost. Brothers have a presentation to make before y'all. We have to present ourselves. So hopefully everybody's been keeping their vessel clean. Until later, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.